that two of the 16 classical prophets of the Old Testament came from royal families. By the way, classical prophets are those prophets in whose name we have books in the Bible. For example, Isaiah, Joel, Amos, Hosea, and so on. But though prominent, prophets like Elijah and Elisha, Gad and Nathan, and many others are not considered to be classical prophets because we don't have books in their name. Classical prophets come from a variety of backgrounds. We do not have details about their backgrounds of all the prophets or about their families, but in the case of some, like Amos, we know Amos was a sheep breeder and a farmer. We know Ezekiel was a priest. We also know Jeremiah was a priest. But out of these 16, two came from royal families. Number one is Zephaniah, who prophesied in 620 BC in the 7th century. And his predecessor, Isaiah, who prophesied in the 8th century BC, might have come from the royal family too. In the case of Zephaniah, the first verse in the book says or relates or that he was distantly related to King Hezekiah in the first verse itself. But in the rest of the book, there is no evidence to say or that mentions his activities or relationship with the kings. Contrary, in the case of Isaiah, we have no mention in the book that he was related to the royal family. But there is a later Jewish tradition that says that his father Amos was a half-cousin, half-brother actually, of Uzziah, the King Uzziah who reigned in the first part of 8th century BC. But though there is no direct mention about his connection with the royalty in Judah, there are ample internal evidence, indirect evidence to suggest that this man was moved in the corridors of power in Jerusalem. Chapter 7 says that he had easy access to King Ahaz when he came to check the water level at the upper pool, which was near the royal palace. Isaiah could walk up to him with his son Shear-Yashub, which means that he was not a commoner. Similarly, chapter 38 of book of Isaiah tells us that he could visit King Hezekiah in his sick bed 2 times without any intermediary. Moreover, we also know, if you read the book of Isaiah closely, that Hezekiah depended on prophet Isaiah in times of crisis. He had sent his people, officials, to seek Isaiah's prayer and to intercede for the nation on his behalf. And King Hezekiah seems to have a very good relationship with him. In addition to the access to the royalty, the rulers, he also had access to people inside the court of Judah. We know that in book of Isaiah chapter 8, Isaiah hoisted a big placard declaring the oncoming Assyrian invasion. And in this work, he was assisted by Uriah, the royal priest, and also Zedekiah, who probably was the father-in-law of King Ahaz. Besides the access and proximity to the ruling class in Judah, he also knew what was going on in the cabinet. He knew, according to chapter 7, the nervousness of the king and the people very close to him when they heard that Syria and Israel is coming to attack them. He knew that Hezekiah, in panic, is sending his diplomats to Egypt to seek alliance with that country and also get military supplies like horses and chariots. That is what Isaiah chapter 30 tells us. And when we come to chapter 39, he confronts Hezekiah because King Hezekiah had exposed all his wealth to the Babylonian envoys who came to visit him. And this news, Isaiah knew this news and condemned Hezekiah for that foolish thing, showing all his investments, all that he had collected, all his wealth, which is a foolish decision and for which he will have to pay heavily in future. So here we have a man, I would say he was a prince, belonged to a ruling class. He was an aristocrat, well versed in international politics, knew every move in the country of Judah, what was happening in its capital, but decided to stand against the rulers, to be a spokesperson of the supreme ruler of Judah, Israel, and the whole world, and that is Yahweh. He stood as a spokesperson of Yahweh against all the decisions, all the human policies, and pleaded, declared, proclaimed that they better trust and obey the emperor Yahweh, who has scripted the history of the whole world. And that's the essence or the message of Isaiah, the 8th century prophet, the prince who turned, or the prophet who turned the prince and served the emperor all his life until he was sawn into two by probably the king who was nicknamed Wicked Manasseh. Stay with me if you would like to know more about the prophets of the Old Testament, their message, and their challenges. God bless you all. Please don't forget to subscribe to this channel if you are new. Share what you like to bless others as well. God be with you.